Shavua Tov, and welcome to the Women's Jewish Learning Center weekly 2 Minutes of Torah. In this week's Parsha, we have the somewhat problematic story when Abraham passes off Sarai as his sister rather than his wife because he is afraid. He tries to save his own life, but he does it by endangering Sarai. Some of the commentators defend Avram. The Radak, for example, Rabbi David Kimchi, says that Abraham did what he needed to do in order to save his life, and he could not rely upon miracles, which is something that our sages have taught us. But others feel differently. Nachmanides, the Ramban, says, "Know that Abraham, our father, unintentionally committed a great sin by bringing his righteous wife to a stumbling block of sin on account of fear for his life. He should have trusted that God would save him and his wife." So we can argue, as did the sages, over whether Avram was wrong or right to do what he did. But perhaps the more important question is, what did Avram learn from this? Because in that encounter, he experienced what it was firsthand to be vulnerable as a stranger. He feels his life in jeopardy by people who think it's okay to mistreat strangers. So what does he learn? At the beginning of next week's Parsha, we hear that he runs toward strangers and welcomes them into his tent. And the Midrash tells us that his tent was open on all sides because he wanted to invite people in. Perhaps having experienced the fear of being an alien, Abraham wants to prevent others from feeling what he felt. If that's the case, although we could fault him for endangering Sarai, he has learned something vital that becomes essential to Judaism. Avram and Sarai could have come out of their experience in Egypt afraid and seeing a threatening foreigner behind every bush, but they chose not to. They lived in a tent open on all sides. Abraham learned that the correct response to our own vulnerability is not to close up the tent, not to operate out of a sense of fear, but rather to operate out of a sense of purpose. And they taught us that to be a Jew is to be a person whose job in the world is to welcome strangers and to be kind to them, people who are not like us. It's a legacy that we should be so proud of, and a lesson that we should learn again and again, today and every day. So may it be. Shavua Tov.